I got a question for you. The login screen to WordPress. I know that it looks exactly the same at any blog I go to, and the default is admin, and I've heard that can be cause some security problems. Why is that, and what do you do about it?
It definitely can. I mean, WordPress is used by something like 18% of the websites around the world these days. It's 18% is not 80%, but in terms of the web, that's about as close as you get. It's like the Microsoft Windows of the web in terms of just being the coverage that it has out there. And that means that hackers know where the vulnerabilities are. And one of those vulnerabilities is in the login area. They know where it is. Typically, if you're running a site, they just add in, /WP admin, and they can see where your login is, and then they can attempt to start to attack it. There's several different levels, layers of things that you need to do to protect yourself. One of the common things is people will add a plugin called Login Lockdown, and actually there's several different versions of plugins that basically limit the number of times somebody can attempt to log in, maybe 2 or 3 times. Now, the thing is, hackers, they use different password cracking tools, and they typically run an automated script, and they can kind of work around that. They can time it in ways, change the IP address up and stuff like that they can still break in. So there's other things that you need to do. I recommend several different levels of steps to protect yourself. One of those is I recommend using Cloudflare. That's cloud, like clouds in the air, and Flare, F-L-A-R-E. They provide a free service that's connected to the United Nations Project Honeypot attempt to identify hackers and nefarious people around the world and what they're attempting to do to break the web. Set up an account with them, and it protects your domain at a domain level before people ever have a chance to touch your server. That can reduce your bandwidth and a number of other good things as well. Another is when you set up your WordPress account, don't go with the default username of admin. Use something completely different. Treat that user ID, especially your administrator user ID, almost like a password, and come up with something relatively strong. Throw in some numbers and characters and make it long. If the majority of the people in the world are using WordPress and they go with the default install, that means the hackers already know that the login user ID is going to be admin. So now all they have to do is figure out the password. So they've got 2 bases down. They know where to go. They know the first part of the login. They just need to figure out the password, unless you use something tougher. So those are 2 big steps. You also need to change your passwords. If you get what typically happens is people will get a notification from their hosting company or from WordPress itself saying, we're receiving multiple attempts to log into your account. Maybe they'll block somebody temporarily at an IP level on the server, but that's usually for like a day, and then it lights back up and they come back and attack again later. Or they come in on a different IP address because they're using a VPN or something, and they start attacking you from a different direction. So if you get one of these notices, it could mean that your host company did the job of blocking them, but it also could mean that the hacker just sensed that they were being blocked and they went a different direction, and they may already be in your website. They may have already found a way in. So you need to get in there when you get those notifications and change your password. Make sure it's still tough. Make sure you still got access. Make sure they haven't added anything to your site that's gonna be a deterrent to your business or your visitors. Also, when you get that notice, back up your WordPress site, back up the database, back up the installation, then back up the full site through cPanel. There's a number of great services out there that make that pretty easy, or you can check with somebody that can help you with it. And if you're really looking to take it to another level, there's a company called Sucuri. That's spelled S-U-C-U-R-I. They provide WordPress security and backups and recoveries. In case you actually get hacked, they'll restore your site. They'll be able to put you back in business, keep you protected, and get things up and running quickly. So those are the main tips. But the main thing is you got to recognize that you have to be protected at multiple levels. And if you get any sort of warning that people are doing this type of activity, you need to act fast because the hackers might already be inside your site when that happens.